Hi, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About This. My guest today is an award-winning public speaker. He's a published author, spoken word artist, and TikTok sensation. And he actually has last time I looked, it was 1.5 million followers on TikTok. And if you want to follow him, you can follow him at I Speak 1906. I Speak 1906 on TikTok. You got to check him out. His name is Anthony Hyland. How you doing, Anthony? Welcome to the podcast. What's
I'm
going
doing well. How
on?
are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I can't complain. I'm just taking things one day at a time. How about yourself?
That's the best way we can do it.
Yeah,
One
that's
foot
all.
in front of the other.
That's all we could do, right? That's all we could do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Where are you at right now?
I'm in Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, Virginia. Okay. All right. I've never been to Norfolk. That's the one place I haven't been yet, is Norfolk, Virginia. And that's not too far from here. That's what, how far is that from here? I'm in Pennsylvania, so that's about what?
Roughly about 4, maybe 5 hours.
That's not too bad. Yeah, I haven't been down to Norfolk. I think the furthest I've been down 95 was to probably Baltimore, Maryland. That probably was the furthest I've been down
Sounds
95.
about right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. So welcome to the podcast. So I want to talk to you about, yeah, I was looking over your TikTok and I was like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. You're very well educated. I could tell that, by looking at your content. So give me a little bit of background, other than the fact that, you're a public speaker, published author, spoken word artist, and the fact that you're a TikTok sensation. Give me some more background about you, as far as you're a father, you have children?
Yes, I do have 3 children.
Okay.
I grew up in Philadelphia. What you read is what I call the boring things. Let's get the boring things out the way.
Okay.
And really and truly the foundational things that have assisted in making me who I am today.
Okay.
Um, Spent the first 5 years of my life in foster care. After that, my grandmother raised me and my 5 brothers. It's 6 of us in total.
Mm.
Um, my mom struggled with some substance abuse issues. She has since overcame those. She's been clean for over 15 years, and I'm super duper proud of her.
Oh, that's good.
Got a full 4-year academic scholarship to college. I attended Voorhees College, now Voorhees University,
Okay.
where I joined where the 1906 in my name comes from, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I'm a member of the fraternity. Then from there, I went on to teach 6th and 7th grade English in South Carolina. Resigned from there and joined the military, more specifically the United States Navy. And I've been in almost a decade.
10 years in the Navy?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. My father was in the Navy too. He actually retired. He did 20 years in the service. I think he was a cook in the service. So I was a,
Nice.
uh, what do you call it? Military brat, all the way up until probably I was about 10 years old is when I traveled. I've been all over the place. That's probably why I can't sit still because, growing up as a kid, we was constantly moving. When you grow up, when you're in a household with a father who's a military officer, you constantly moving, constantly being pulled out of different schools. And,
Hmm.
I'm the only child. I was born here in New Jersey. My brother was born in Germany and my sister was born in Kansas. So we traveled around until we were about 10, or I think I was probably about 10 years old is when I finally settled down and came to Jersey because her family is from Jersey. So when they separated, that's where we settled. But yeah, so what were you doing in the Navy?
So I'm a boatswain's mate, second class. In short, I drive small boats, do basic construction. When you're typically looking at a ship and you see those lines coming from the ship to the pier, my job does that.
Oh, okay. So you did that 10 years in the military while you were in the Navy for
Y-
10 years?
Yes, I'm actually still currently enlisted.
Oh, okay. So how long are you planning on staying in the military? Or
I'm planning on commissioning. My goal is to become a public affairs officer.
Okay.
and ride that out to my 20s so I can go ahead and get that good old retirement check,
Right.
and just kick my feet up, enjoy social media full time and just travel the world from there.
Okay. So I was checking out your social media pages and your TikTok and your Instagram, and you are phenomenal. I love your content. It's very
I appreciate
educational.
that.
It's very educational. And, let's take it back to the beginning as to when you started getting into, let's get into when you was in college. What university
Mhm.
did you come out of?
Voorhees University in Denmark, South Carolina.
Okay. And what was your major in college?
Mass communications.
Okay. All right. That's why you're so good at what you do. I was checking out his content. I said, this brother's sharp, boy. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so when did you decide to get into how did you find your way into poetry and becoming a motivational speaker and all those good things? Because
Got you.
you give out good information. I'm telling you, you're like very I love to listen to people that are very educated, people that I can learn from. And once I saw your content, I was like, oh, it makes you want to see another one and then another one and then another one. And that's how I was feeling, So how did
Right.
what made you want to get into motivational speaking and poetry and Black history? I mean, something that we should all know about, but there's still a lot of stuff I don't know about our history. But when did you,
Right.
yeah.
One of the things my grandmother taught us as children is that, people can take a lot of things from you, but they can't take your education. Poetry for me was an outlet when I was a teenager, more so a preteen, moving into my teenage years. I had a lot of, for lack of a better term, unresolved anger
Okay.
built up. And my English teacher at the time introduced me to poetry, and more specifically, slam poetry. And being able to not just write down, my words and my, expressions, but also be able to speak them.
Okay.
And then I joined a youth organization in Philadelphia called Philadelphia Youth Poetry Movement, and it really empowered me and my peers to focus more on the performance side of the house. There were some mental health things in there as well. However, it wasn't until I got into college that I started moving more so into, and I like to call it empowerment speaking, because I feel like, and it's just like a personal thing for me,
Mm-hmm.
motivation fades.
Okay.
Empowerment forces you to get up and do something. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
just motivate you, because you'll be motivated in the moment. And then when
Right.
you leave the venue, you're not motivated anymore. If
Right.
you are empowered, you take that empowerment with you, and it forces you to essentially change the trajectory of where you were about to go and or where you saw yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The the idea behind.
And only certain people could do that. Only
Oh,
certain
indeed,
only certain
indeed.
people could do that because I noticed that I have a short attention span, and if something doesn't attract my attention, then I like you said, I can listen for the moment and then that's it. But with you, when I saw your content, I was like, wow, I got to listen to this brother is educated. He in the way that you put things together, to make
Right.
people think,
It's
Um,
interesting you say that, because that's the age that we're in now, especially
right.
as it relates to social media, which is what made me transfer over and take my public speaking skills and really hone that when I was in college, and just kind of starting off to say, wow, okay, I really have a knack for this.
Mm-hmm.
I did the public speaking competition within my fraternity. It's called the Belford v. Lawson Oratorical Competition. You
Mm-hmm.
have your chapter level, your district level, your regional level, then your national level, and I
Mm-hmm.
made it all the way to the national level, and I placed first runner up.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to say, if anybody was going to beat me that day, it was going to be that brother that beat me.
Right.
Shout out to all of the brothers that competed in the competition. However, that experience for me showed me that I need to stop playing with my gift. And sometimes we'll forget that somebody out there needs what we have to offer. And
Mm-hmm.
we will try to be humble, or we'll try to, downplay ourselves for the sake of comfort of others, when really and truly we should be going after what it is those dreams and goals and desires are, which led me to social media. So
Mm-hmm.
whereby in the beginning I had a classroom full of students. Now I have a 1.5 supporter global audience. I have like a 4% following in South Africa, 3% following in Australia, I think like a 2% following in Asia. I was actually blessed with an opportunity to actually speak virtually to a high school in the UK. And
Mm,
that was a phenomenal experience. So
wow.
now I take these things with me because once you see them, they now become tangible. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it goes into the quote, faith is taking the first step, although you don't see the staircase.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that regard, we have to stop being afraid to take that first step because somebody out there is willing to catch you, even if you fall.
That is so deep, and that's so true. That is definitely so true because we get afraid. I think it's fear. Uh, we, I know sometimes people are afraid of success, and that's that because it's something that's how should I say it? You can't, like you said, what were you saying about taking the first step, taking that first step,
Faith is taking the first step,
first
although
step.
you don't even see the staircase. Yep.
Right, right. And sometimes that's exactly what we got to do because we can get so comfortable, get stuck in the comfort zone,
Hmm.
and instead of taking that next level. And that's where I'm at. I'm trying to, like, I became a mental health advocate, and my platform has been basically a lot of guests on here. We've been talking about mental health because it's something that we really need to talk about. That at one point,
Absolutely.
we people are afraid to talk about their past and things that they went through, the deep rooted issues. That's
Hmm.
things people are afraid to talk about, and I was one of those people too. So now I'm at the point where I really don't care about. It helps you get through your healing, when you
Hmm.
are transparent about what you went through in your past. And I noticed with your content that the way you put your content together is educational, and you really get down into the deep rooted part of the historic part of our background. So when did you decide you wanted to get into the Black history and started teaching people through your poetry about our background and our ancestors and where we came from? Because I saw one content on here. As a matter of fact, I posted it on my Facebook page, and I'm going to pull that up right now. And this one was deep. When I heard you say this, it brought tears to my eyes. I ain't even gonna lie.
Wow.
After when I saw it, I was like, in the way and this was the one that you talked about, the white tears. That was
Mm.
so deep. That was so deep when you talked about white tears are one of the most dangerous liquids known to man that has devastated Black and brown families for decades. That is so true. The way you put that content together was so deep. You know, um, how did you get into being able to put your content together like that and be able to educate people?
So one of the things that and thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. That really does mean a lot because that feeling that you got is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I want my audience to feel when consuming my content. Because it is rough. It is hard to conceptualize, but only for those that don't want to learn. For
Mm-hmm.
those that genuinely want to learn, I've built up a rapport with my supporters and with my audience that if you come to my page, you're going to get quality education.
Yes.
Now, in that, there may be a certain amount of humility that you may have to be overcome with in order
Mm-hmm.
to receive it. When I first started on TikTok, it's ironic that you say that in regards to the nature of my content, because I started off just posting poetry. And that's how I blew up in the sense of like, gaining a large platform.
Mm-hmm.
I gained my first 100,000 followers within my first 2 months of being on the app. And
Mm.
it was insane. I was
Wow.
still learning the basic functions of the app. However,
Mm-hmm.
I saw an opportunity at that moment to go from the TikTok poet to establishing myself as one of the top Black male intellectuals on the app because there was a
Mm.
lot of misinformation, there was a lot of disinformation, there was a lot of unnecessary arguments. I call them heated discussions. They like to call them debates. They're heated
Mm-hmm.
discussions. And really and truly, what I saw was just a war of ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, using the gifts, talents, and abilities that I have, I'm smart, I'm
Mm-hmm.
good looking, I'm
Mm-hmm.
humorous, you know what I
Right.
mean? So I
Right.
can wrap all that up into a ball and say, you know what? Let's put this energy out into the atmosphere and see how the community takes hold to it. And then
Mm-hmm.
we started looking for stories that weren't as widely spread as others.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd look for those stories that or we would receive stories about people, about children, about young women, more specifically Black women, individuals being brutalized by police. We talk about the school to prison pipeline, gentrification, mass incarceration, et cetera, et cetera. All things that people want to hear about. However, they're not sure how they want to consume it.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, we had to find a way to not just adequately articulate that, but
Mm-hmm.
also make it relatable and digestible
Mm-hmm.
without watering down the historical context of it. Because
Mm-hmm.
really and truly, the quote that you mentioned about white tears, we've
Mm-hmm.
had so much of our history whitewashed to
Mm-hmm.
the point where they're now trying to teach kids, I believe it's in either Florida or Texas,
I think it's
that
Florida.
slavery was beneficial for slaves. There
Yep.
were good parts of slavery. Like when we think about
Yep.
just hearing these statements, it's like, wow, have
Mm-hmm.
we become that desensitized to the truth that
Right.
we just start blatantly selling lies? And I say we in the sense of we, but we in the sense of human beings.
Right.
Like the fact that more specifically, these
Mm-hmm.
palm color folk,
Mm-hmm.
the ignorant ones, because
Right.
this is something else that I learned too. There is an abundance of white people that don't care for ignorant white people that perpetuate those types of sentiments, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I take the same approach to that narrative that I take when Black women say all men, right?
Mm-hmm.
While it may not be all and we recognize it's all, not all, it's too many.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, the question then becomes, are you more focused on the rhetoric or are you more focused on the work?
Right.
So
Right.
for me, I'm able to suspend my thought process of, I know that while it includes me, it doesn't have to apply to me.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, when I would call out racist white people, bigots of any background, I would have those same individuals of that demographic denounce those individuals as well, because at the end of the day, right is right
And
and
wrong is
wrong is
wrong.
wrong.
That's true.
And just staying consistent with my audience and ensuring that, and this is another thing that I did that I think set me apart from others as well. I never really argued with people. I
Mm-hmm.
argued concepts.
Mm-hmm.
I argued against their arguments.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, my sentiment is that I'm attacking the content, not the character of the creator, unless the character of the creator is what's called into question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And from that white tears, you can tell that the person that was in that content, she really didn't, she probably is, like you said, ignorant white. You got some ignorant people who just say things without having any information or doing
Mm-hmm.
their research and just, just saying things. But the way you broke it down was deep. That was really deep because not only did you break it down for people of Caucasian people to understand it, but also you broke it down for us to understand it. You know what I mean? Which I like. Because when you went from Emmett Till to, you know what I'm saying, and you just broke it all the way down, that was deep to me. I was like, it just brought tears to my eyes because it made you think about the things that we go through as Black people, and the
Mm-hmm.
things that we dealt with for 400 plus years. It just brings you back to that. And not only it made me angry, it went as you were saying it, but it also brought tears to my eyes. And it was just deep. I was like, wow, this is something that, so you need to, I think you need to keep doing what you're doing as far as like doing that content. So how long?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you have an album also out too as well, right?
Yeah, it's a spoken word album. It's entitled Metaphorically Speaking.
Uh-huh.
It's available on all streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, etc.
Now, is this a poetry album?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I've never heard, I've never heard of anybody doing a poetry album before. This is
Yeah,
something
so
to me.
the Grammys is ironic because the Grammys just added spoken word as a category for a nomination, and this
Okay.
was long after I had put my album out. And for me, it was something that I wanted to do. Again, I'm always thinking about, we exist in a lot of different markets, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have different niches, we have different hobbies and things of that nature, right? I'm always thinking about how best can I exist in this space while also simultaneously maintaining my unique sound and thought.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, I started to think about, okay, well, when companies and or people go to book me, what is their frame of reference?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is not going to want to scroll to find a YouTube video or scroll to find a TikTok. I'll
Right.
say, okay, well, what streaming platform do you have? Statistically, most people have one of the sort, and it's literally shopped out to all of them,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I'll say, oh, do you have Apple Music? No. Do you have Spotify? Oh, yeah, I got Spotify. Okay. Metaphorically speaking, Anthony Hyland, Hyland. There's 10 tracks on there, and that'll give you a baseline of who I am as a poet, not necessarily as a person, but as
Mm-hmm.
a poet. Now, you can draw your inferences, but I'm a firm believer in communication. There's a question that you have about something that I've posted or, a poem that I've written or performed or something like that. Let's talk about it, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Right. Right. Yeah. That. Yeah.
So in that publishing that album for me set me apart from other artists, set me apart from other performers, regardless of what people felt about it. I definitely think that my because I'm actually working on a second one here very soon, working on doing more of the production aspect of it because most of it was a cappella. I
Mm-hmm.
think I had 2 tracks on there that maybe had like some extra effects to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I sang in one of them, just a short melody, nothing, too crazy. Because, growing up in the church, I realized that, the choir was not my ministry.
Right. Right. Right.
um, but it was definitely something that I picked up along the way and just carry a light little tune, and then to be able to perform my piece.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely an eye-opening experience.
Right.
Similarly to writing, my first book, just thinking about as a performer as well as a public speaker, what can I bring to the table in terms of being able to market myself?
Mm-hmm.
Not only can I be your keynote speaker, I can also be your workshop facilitator. I can also be your entertainment for the evening. So if you don't have all 3 of those, boom, book me, one price, boom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's dope. Now what do you do as far as your poetry? Do you freestyle when you put your album together? Was it a freestyle type of poetry or you write it as
Not the
you?
tracks that I put on my album. Now on my TikTok, I do have a playlist. I think it's called like poetry, TikTok poetry or something like that. But I have a playlist. Um, Most of those I
Mhm.
freestyle
Okay.
because I had to do it in like a 60-second format. The majority of my poems are anywhere between like a minute and 30 and 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
When TikTok first started, excuse me, they
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the 3 minute function, the 10-minute function. They
Right.
didn't have those. So in 60 seconds, you had to get out everything that you were going to say. So
Right.
we would just rapid fire information. And in that, what I did was I started taking snippets of my poems and then just putting them on TikTok in that format and just maybe cut off the beginning or cut off the end and
Mm.
then wait for them to ask for more. And when they would ask for more, then I say, okay, well, go check out the album.
Oh, okay. So you was that's a smart way to do that. So it's like having a trailer to the actual album.
Precisely. And a lot of
Yeah.
artists are doing that now too. They'll
Yeah.
put out a freestyle or they'll put out a song specifically on social media. And then people be
Yeah.
like, well, we want more, we want more, we want more. Like, is there an
Right.
album coming? They'll be like, okay, well, I'm gonna post another song. Let's see how they feel about that. And then
Mm.
they'll take all of the ones that everybody liked, throw them into an album, boom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a smart way to do it because then you're drawn. That's how you grab your audience.
Absolutely.
You keep them wanting more, like you did me. Like when I was on TikTok, I was like, oh my God, let me look at this and let me look at this. And then I went on to your LinkedIn page and I was listening to some of your motivational speeches that you were doing at, I guess you were at a college with this one particular speech where you were talking about the lie and the truth. There was a speech.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. That
Yeah.
was at if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was at Old Dominion University. Yes, that was
Okay.
for the Martin Luther King program. Yeah,
Okay.
the allegory of the Mr. Truth and Mr. Lie. That's one of my
Right.
favorite stories, actually.
Yeah, yeah, that was dope too. I was listening to that and I was like, man, the way he just put things together, because you do the way you put things together, you put it together to make people think. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like you said, you put it out to where is not boring. You put it out to where people want more of it, you know, because
Precisely.
you know how this world is. People get, everybody is, you know, their attention span is not long.
Right,
You know,
right, right. And
it's
really and truly, we're competing for one another's attention. That's really and truly what it is.
that's true.
For me, it's a mental thing. I
Right.
want you to know that when you come onto my page, that you're going to get quality content, you're going to get quality education, and you're going to want to come back for more.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that, uh, a dedication to making sure that I have my facts, making sure I have my receipts. If someone specifically said something, get that snippet. Because here's the deal, you can say a lot of things about my content, but you can't say that I was wrong.
Right.
Feel however you want to feel about it, but you
Right.
can't say that I was wrong. Especially when, like you said, the young lady who, clearly she was salty in her feelings that I did a video about her, but I took your words.
Mm-hmm.
Those were your words.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you have to be accountable for them, now all of a sudden it's a problem.
Right, right. Yeah. And that's one of the things, people don't want to take accountability. You know, that's one of the biggest problems. People are quick to say things without thinking before they say things, you know, or getting the
Right.
proper information or doing the research. And I can also say I do that sometimes, and that's just being lazy. You know, sometimes that's just being lazy. Sometimes, you know, but then if you're putting that information out there, you want to make sure you're putting out facts, you know, and you're getting the proper information. And that's what I'm also, you know, training myself to do when I do a lot of my you know, my podcasts, as far as like the mental health and stuff. I've been educating myself on that, because that's one of the biggest problems that we have in this country and around the world. You know, people are dealing with so much mental health issues. It's crazy, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And it's, you know, one thing leads to another. It's so, you know, it's just life. You know, life is going to throw so many obstacle curveballs at you, and you just got to adjust
Yep.
every time. It's like every time a curveball comes, you got to adjust to it, and you got to, you know.
Right.
But speaking of mental health, what do you do as far as keeping your mental health intact?
Great question. One of the things that I've done since building this massive platform on social media is I pray a lot more now than I ever have.
Mm-hmm.
I've come across some really evil people. I've come across some very vindictive people.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about the internet, God bless, the internet is treacherous. It
Yes.
is notorious for building people up,
And
but
tearing them down.
also destroying people.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've stayed committed to is
Malcolm
going to
X said
therapy.
that. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I've
Yeah.
stayed committed to therapy and
Mm-hmm.
going to therapy and really breaking down. And I talk to a lot of men about this, more specifically Black men, because we have a lot of pride. We have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of pride when it comes to, how we feel in terms of uh, the idea of talking to someone else about your problem, when it's so much more than that. When you just reduce therapy to just talking about your problems, there's so much more than that. When you're
Mm-hmm.
getting those breakthroughs, or when you start talking about one situation, therapy is not just for when things are going wrong in your life.
Right.
And that's one of the hugest misconceptions that we, more specifically Black men, have about it. Social media added for me a stress that I hadn't had in a long time.
Mm.
So in that, I had to learn to safeguard my mental. And I would tell all content creators this, or anyone that has a platform, seeking to build a platform, whether it's a social media influencer, podcaster, TV host, whatever, make sure you're prioritizing self.
Mm-hmm.
Your followers, your supporters, they're going to
Yep.
pull on you.
Yep.
However, we know the age old adage, you can't pour from an empty glass.
That's right.
You can't.
That's true.
It's literally impossible.
Yeah.
So in that, I make sure that and I always say honestly, and I it is my hope and desire that more people in the infancy of their building process learn this lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to unplug.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to turn that app off.
I
Don't be
do it all the
afraid to
time.
shut that microphone off and
Yep.
just disconnect altogether.
Yep.
Because the reality is that the more connected you are to it, the more you're depleted.
Yep.
Yes, you get those good messages every now and again, but they're few and far between.
That's right.
The death threats, the doxing. Doxing is short for document dropping, to whereby someone will take your personal information and post it on the internet, for nefarious means, i.e., your address, where you work at, where where your kids go to school. I've seen some of the worst types of things happen to people on the internet. And I will tell people all the time, ensure that you are scrubbing the internet of your old addresses, your email addresses. A little tidbit, more so like maybe like a nugget for you, if you will. In terms of your public information, you will be surprised how much of your public information is out there on the internet. So this is what I implore you to do. Type in your first and last name. If it doesn't come up, put it into Google. Make sure whatever source comes up that it has the right age attached to it, and then you click on it. And on these websites, what you can do is scroll all the way to the bottom.
Wait a minute, go back. So you said type in your name. Now, where are you typing in your name? On Google, or are you doing it
on Google?
Okay.
On Google.
Right. Okay.
Yep. You type your name into Google. For me, it would be Anthony Isaiah Hyland, because I would just put my full name, right?
Right.
And then I would make sure I'm 31. So I'll make sure 31 is next to it. And then I'll click on that, right? Because someone may have your literally exact same name and it not be you, right? So you click on it and it'll show like aliases, family members, phone numbers, old addresses, vehicles you might have owned. At the bottom of those screens, you can opt out of those companies having your public information. If I'm not mistaken, I think it takes maybe up to 48 hours for them to remove it. However, you can have all of that information removed. And it wasn't until my mother started receiving death threats as a result of my TikTok. Now, granted, nothing happened because people on the internet are just that. People on the internet. However, I truly do believe that people should still safeguard their public as well as their private information.
That's right.
So go on all of those sites that are posting that and scroll all the way to the bottom and click to opt out of those companies having your public information, because it's treacherous out here.
It is. And there's a lot of scammers on there too. People are trying to get into your bank account and steal your money. You got too many people posing as being different celebrities and things of that nature. They almost got me one time with a scam, almost got me real good the way they did. And then, and so now, I make sure I'm very, aware of stuff like that, because too many people have taken advantage of financially on social media. So, you really got to be careful. It is treacherous. I mean, it really is. I mean, it has its pros and cons, and if I didn't have to use it for my business, I probably wouldn't even be on it, Unfortunately, if you have a business, you got to have social media, because they connect your business with Facebook and they connect it with Instagram and all this kind of crap. But you said something really important, that you have to unplug. And that's something that I do often. Like, at one time I was addicted. Oh my God, Facebook, I was on there almost every single day.
Here's the deal. Do you know that it's literally engineered that way?
Oh yeah, I know it's set up like that.
Yeah.
It's set up for us to be distracted.
For those of you that are listening, if you do not know, social media, these big companies, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, et cetera, and you can look this stuff up. They literally hire narcotics experts to figure out how best to make these platforms as addicting as possible. I'm gonna give you an exercise. The next time you post on social media, regardless of what platform you post it on, make sure your push notifications on your phone are on. The idea of exposure comes from longevity on a platform. What do I mean by that? Let's take Instagram, for example. The next time you make a post on Instagram, immediately after you post it, close the app. If you have an iPhone, swipe up and to the right, and then literally swipe up. Completely close out the app and wait for about 5 minutes and watch how many notifications go across the top of your screen. Why is that? That is to give you a notification that you have an alert, right, of a comment, of a like, of a remix or something like that, for you to go back onto the platform, because the idea is to keep you on it for as long as possible.
That's true. Yeah, because when you look on your phone, you see so many notifications that come all the way down. I know I go on my iPhone and I'd be like, I look on here and I'd be like, what in the world? I got all this, like I gotta constantly like just clean it out, because it's so much, notification on here, and I think I'm gonna take that notification off because I don't really need to see any note. That's just like back in the day before we even had technology where we had to have phones, when back in the day where we had to wait to come home and check our voicemails, if we got a message.
I
or,
remember those days.
or we had to put a dime in a payphone, or we had a beeper and we had somebody beat us and we put a dime in the phone. But now it's like, I mean, we were able to function without technology back then. But like you said,
Right.
they got us so addicted to this technology now, and it's also distracting people
It
from
is. Definitely. 100%.
priorities. Yeah, like from
Mm-hmm.
priorities. Like, how are these kids going to college right now without being on their phones? I don't understand how they do it. Or how do they do their homework? Or how do they, I
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a big distraction, you know. And I realize also that it's one big platform to where whoever created this, like whoever, I don't know who owns Instagram. I know what's his name owns
Was it
Twitter.
Mark Zuckerberg?
Well, Mark
Oh no,
Zuckerberg,
Elon
he
Musk. Elon Musk
Musk
owns
owns
Twitter.
Twitter. I don't know who owns Instagram. Is that connected with Facebook? Because I know Mark
Mm-hmm.
Zuckerberg owns that. So
He owns them both and
yeah.
Snapchat.
So this is his big platform, and
Mm-hmm.
he's be putting all the content on his platform. So this man is making a lot of money off all this garbage. A lot of the stuff we see on social media is garbage, but they don't care.
Right.
These millionaires are sitting on their $1 billion yachts,
Right.
chilling, drinking their champagne, while folks on their content posting a bunch of garbage, or not all of it is garbage. Some of it is educational or whatever, and it's good, but then you got a lot of it that's bad. And I feel
Right.
bad for some of these kids who are looking at a lot of this stuff, because you see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women on here half naked now, and I'm like, it's crazy. It's like some of the stuff that
I
you see
just
on.
the way I take it is that I tell people be careful what you put on social media. Be
Yeah,
careful what you put on the internet, because the internet, it doesn't miss. The
it don't.
internet is undefeated. So
Mm-hmm.
the moment you think you thought you forgot about something, oh, the internet will remind you.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter who you are, from the
Mm-hmm.
most well-known person to the least known person. If
That's
you
true.
do something on the internet and someone can find it, they will throw it back up in your face. Look at all these celebrities that are
Mm-hmm.
going through issues of things that they did in the 70s and in the 80s, back when the internet wasn't even a thing,
Right. Mm-hmm.
back when social media wasn't even thought about,
Right.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you have people that say, wow, if social media was around back in my day, woof, we'd all be in trouble, you know.
Right.
And it just kind of one of those things where it's like, I tell people this all the time, even my clients. I want you to remember, no matter where you go, the moment you post on social media, you've now created a digital footprint.
Mm-hmm.
And if in fact you are not back tracing your steps, and even when you do that, there's still a copy of that content somewhere. It's
Mm-hmm.
in the metadata. So you
Right.
may delete it off the platform, but that platform still has that content.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of what they want to do with it. They may keep it
Right.
for a certain amount of time and then destroy it, or they may hold on to it. It just
Mm-hmm.
depends. However, just because you delete it doesn't mean that it's truly ever deleted. So be careful. When you
Mm-hmm.
click on that microphone, when you turn on that camera, you have a responsibility.
That's
You don't
true.
get to shy away from that for comfort. You don't
Mm-hmm.
get to shy away from that for convenience.
Yeah, because once it's there, it's there.
That's it.
That's
That's
true.
it.
Yeah, and that data that we put on there is that now the I was talking to somebody else about that. Do they own that data that we put on to social media? I wonder if that's something that they,
Absolutely.
because once it's like you said, once it's deleted, it's still in the system. And a lot of these people,
Mm-hmm.
they be criminalizing themselves, the stuff they be putting on social media. I be wondering why. I say to myself, no wonder they done got locked up, because they done went on social media and said this and said that.
Mm-hmm.
They
Listen, the things that people have been willing to share on social media,
right,
God bless.
right,
Liam Neeson, John Wick, they could not get that type of information up out of me. And
right,
I'd just be like,
right.
you said what?
All right.
Oh no.
Yeah. And some people, I don't know how my brother does it. My brother, I have two brothers, and one of my brothers, he don't use social media at all. He don't have no Instagram, no TikTok, no Facebook, no nothing. He's just not.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't. It's very rarely that I've ran across somebody other than him who doesn't have any kind of social media page at all. He don't
Right.
like that being tracked stuff, and he's not into that, which I don't know how he do it, because it's kind of hard not to do.
Right.
you
Right.
know
No, no,
so,
that's real. That's
yeah.
real. Especially like you said, especially if you're a business owner, you're almost forced to have to in order
Yeah.
to remain marketable,
Yep.
remain, competitive in
Yeah.
this day and age,
Right.
with those that are in your same niche or your same field and or discipline.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Now tell me about your kids. So you are a father, or you so you're a single father, or
Yeah, well, I'm recently divorced.
okay.
I have a daughter and two sons. My daughter's name is Kylie. My son's name is Caleb. My first son is Caleb. My second son is Cairo, 7, 5, and 3.
Oh, so you got three kids?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So how do they? What is their reaction when they see you in your content and the stuff that you share on on?
I mean, they love my slogans. I have a slogan, buckle up, let's talk about it.
Yeah,
So,
I've seen your
I,
merch too.
yeah, out there, yeah, thank you. I
Yeah.
had this, so I would do like an intro, right? And
Right.
it's funny, I was making a video one day and it just kind of goes into like, you never know when children are watching,
That's
right?
true.
So my daughter, as smart as she is, she said, well, the full length slogan is, if you already seen this video, you already know what time it is.
Uh-huh.
Buckle up, let's talk about it,
Right.
right? So I was doing a video, and like where I was at, there was like a wall here separating us, and she was like around the corner. So I said, if you already seen this video, you already know what time it is. And then I paused, and I hear from the dishes, buckle up, let's talk about it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So then what I started
Right.
doing was when they would be in the room with me, when I would be creating content, I would have them say it in the background. So
Right.
I'd be like, if you already seen this video, you already know what time it is. And then she finally, like, as she said it more, she get a little more confidence. Buckle up, let's talk about it. And then I would just go into the content, and it would just be
Right.
like a cute addition
Right.
to that. And then sometimes doing the dance. I'm not really too big on the dances, not
Right.
really all that coordinated.
Right.
However, my daughter would be like, Daddy, let's make a TikTok. And I'm just like,
Right. Right.
okay.
Right. Right.
But it has its ups, but it definitely has its downs as well.
Right.
A couple people that don't like me made a profile with one of my sons' face as the profile picture,
Are you
putting,
serious?
threatening emojis as the profile picture. So I kind of
Wow.
started limiting how much their visibility on my platform was. But for me, especially
Mhm.
being the father that I am, I'm not going to hide my children from social
Right.
media. I'm not.
Right.
I will
Right.
shield them, but I'm
Right.
not going to hide them.
Right.
If you come across my content, you come across me, you're going to know that I'm a proud father of three amazing children.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I know they're proud of you, and you're a great influence to your children. First of
I
all,
appreciate that.
you're educated, you're smart, and I'm sure your kids, the first influence that we see is in the household, and
Hmm.
that's the most important thing outside of everything else, like social media and all those things. Because I always say they're gonna see you in the house first,
Right.
that's what they're going to emulate, is what they see, and unfortunately some kids don't have you know that positive influence, I guess I want to say, in the household, but I'm not trying to blame parents or anything. Everybody makes their mistakes, everybody goes through their things, and but I know that they're proud of you, that's for sure. Now, how often do
Absolutely.
you speak at different now how do people book you, as far as like you travel constantly to go out and speak? Do people book you often?
In the local area, in Norfolk, I also started doing, once COVID hit, I started doing virtual events.
Okay.
So they can definitely email me, lowercase a Highland, my last name, Hyland 101 at iCloud.com. Just
Okay.
shoot me over an email. Let me know, like, what you're looking for in terms of event, whether it's a keynote, workshop, performance, et cetera, et cetera. And then we'll just kind of do the logistics on, talking about, tangible numbers and things of that nature. I'll typically get people that will reach out to me on social media. So they'll send me a message to my Instagram saying, hey, we want to book you for X, Y, and Z. And it's typically word of mouth that I get, bookings from. I've spoken over 25 colleges and universities on the East Coast, did some international public speaking as well. And it was an amazing experience. And I definitely look forward to doing more. So yeah, definitely feel free to reach out to me.
Okay.
And I travel too.
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna definitely go on at Amazon and get your book. I definitely want to get that
Oh,
book.
definitely.
Yeah, I
Thank you. Yeah,
definitely.
my book, The Purpose
Yeah,
of Power, is
yeah,
available on Amazon and anywhere Amazon books are sold.
yeah. Matter of fact, once we get off this interview, I'm gonna go ahead and order that now. I just had a book come in yesterday. I ordered. It's more geared towards the science of the brain and things like that because I'm really getting deep into this mental health stuff.
I see. I
Now I'm
see.
getting
That's
into the
awesome.
yeah, now I'm getting into the scientific of the mind and the brain and how this works and how that works because one of the sisters that I have Bible study with, because I had Bible study twice a week. And one of the sisters I study with, she's a trauma expert. And luckily, I don't know, God put us together. I was like, wow, she's a trauma expert. I'm a mental health advocate. And she has so many books of different things. And she goes to these events and she speaks on, the stuff that she does. And she gave me some advice on certain books to get. So I've just been getting one book at a time and having it delivered and just reading one book at a time. But your book is the next book I'm going to order. I definitely want to get that too. And so people could get your book on Amazon. And where could they follow you also? Or how many
You can follow
yourself?
me on social media. I Speak 1906, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that good jazz. I make it very easy to find me.
And is that I Speak, what is it? I Speak 909, 1909?
1906.
1906. Okay, I Speak 1906. So y'all hear that, and make sure you go out and get his book too. I mean, you're not gonna regret it. Put it that way. I haven't read it
I
yet.
definitely appreciate
I
that.
haven't read it yet, but I know it's going to be a good book, because I can tell by your content and the stuff that you deliver and the education that you share throughout social media. And so I know the book is going to be good. So I can't wait to get
Absolutely.
it.
And thanks so much for having me on. I like to say that as a former teacher, I didn't just put anyone in front of my students. So I like to think of social media as my global classroom. So thank you for allowing me to come on and speak with your audience and speak to your audience. Hey, special guest.
He's always, look at this. He's something else. He's looking at me like, okay, is this interview over? He wants my attention. He's always in. He's just my little Pomeranian
Hey,
right here. Yeah, my little Pomeranian. He's ready to go out and go for a walk. So that's what it is. You ready to go out, buddy? Is that what you're ready for? Huh? It looked like he knows what I'm talking about too, right?
Right.
Well,
It's okay. It's okay.
right.
I'm wrapping up with mama now.
Yeah. Okay, Anthony, thanks a lot for coming on
Absolutely.
and sharing your story. And make sure
Definitely.
y'all go out and get his book and look for him and his content on TikTok. And say it again.
Instagram, YouTube, all that good jazz. I Speak
Okay.
1906 on social media. The Purpose of Power, available on Amazon, metaphorically speaking, on all streaming platforms.
Yep. Okay. And then next time,
Definitely.
make sure y'all hit that notification button, hit the like and subscribe button. Also, the more subscribers I get, the more guests I can bring on the podcast. And until next time, Anthony, you take care of yourself. And thanks again for coming on and sharing your
Definitely. Thank you.
story. You take care of yourself.
All
Bye-bye.
right, too.